how you doing, everybody?
Hey.
Good. How are you, Daymond?
I'm good, and you can hear me as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you all and thank you for having me.
Well, we appreciate you as well. Yeah, no, thank you very much. We were about to play the intro video a few seconds ago, so forgive some of our hijinks.
Okay, you want to play it, and I'm just wait.
Perfect.
All right.
That way we're following the flow. Okay, wait one moment.
No problem. This is how things go. All right, let's go.
I've been an entrepreneur since the day I was born.
Without further ado, here he is, the People's Shark, Daymond John.
Daymond John, the founder and CEO of Forest Bias Fubu and a panelist on Shark Tank and the author of 3 best-selling books.
An entrepreneur is somebody who thinks outside the box, and when everybody else says no, they say yes.
In 1992, Daymond John was 23 years old with only $40 to his name when he started Fubu, now one of the most iconic fashion brands in history.
When I started Fubu, I had to physically get up in people's face and try to sell them a shirt. Everybody thinks you need money to make money, but you don't. We knew we make it if we ever get on our senor. Came from the hood. I can't design. I'm dyslexic. Got left back in 7th grade. All that didn't stop me.
America's not about what can be done for us. It's about what can be done by us.
When you start hearing the president talk about Fubu, Mom, I made it. I started going on shows, and Mark Burnett saw me and said, this guy knows how to break down a pitch. I want him on the show.
Every week, over 6 million people tune in to see Daymond John and his fellow sharks fight it out on Shark Tank.
4 fluffy pancakes, under 250 calories.
I'll do 120,000 for 50%.
I'll go 42. We can do it right now.
Say yes,
right
don't
now.
hesitate.
I'll do 42.
Nice play, Daymond.
Thank you very much.
It's about educating people. I'm just doing it because I was this close to losing everything myself.
Daymond, you have a deal.
Smart man. There you go.
He's so encouraging, and he sees that I could do this.
So the question is going to be, when is it time for Chloe to start her line? The biggest investment is to invest in people.
We have an idea. We know you are the man to come to.
For me, I've always dreamed big, and so I called up my business partner, Daymond John from Shark Tank.
I love him so much.
I love it.
It's all about bringing other people up the ladder, the same way that I was brought up the ladder. I will guarantee to mentor you, but I will not give you the money at this time. We're taught everything else as kids, but we're not taught how to use that tool called money. You have to concentrate on this and be the king of this.
Daymond John from Shark Tank is here with us.
Daymond John, branding powerhouse and realist.
He's my favorite shark, the author of a brand new book called Rise and Grind. You gotta grind.
Anything worth doing is worth overdoing.
Rise and grind, outperform, outwork, and out-hustle your way to a more successful and rewarding life.
Don't do things just for money. You have to start today and do what you love. You're going to fail, but you're going to learn from that, and you're going to grow.
We've got a shark here named Daymond John.
You are also a presidential ambassador for global entrepreneurship.
We're here tonight to save the world and teach financial intelligence. The recipient of the Daymond John Scholarship for Excellence is, I look for desire, drive, honor, and the ability to solve problems.
First of all, thanks for what you're doing.
My quest right now is to change people's lives, have fun at the same time, and challenge people.
You've just given back to the community in so many great ways. Real visionary.
Please welcome Daymond John.
The king of branding. He is the leader, the guy that started it all, a pioneer. I love it. The American dream stole up.
That's what it's about.
It's about leaving with a legacy.
Thank you.
All right.
Very awesome. Well, no other introduction is needed. That is amazing. We appreciate the fact that you're taking some time to spend with us and spend some time with our organization, and for us to be able to learn from you, and so we're excited to be here with you.
Well, thank you. Sorry for the technical issues. New studio. Maybe I need to come to you to help me hire some technical people. The younger audience right here. I know I'm supposed to have empathy, but you should be fired, George, for that. But anyway, I'm sorry. Let's go.
Well, we appreciate your time. We'll jump right in because we have a lot of questions for you, and your path is really inspiring. I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from grit and the grit that you've had over your career and how you stood up for what you believed in and how that sort of manifested into where you are today. And so to begin, I want to kind of dive into sort of 4 areas to structure our conversation around. The first one would be your early life and things that sort of clicked for you back then and how you sort of figured out your career path, finding your passion, being able to actually move and navigate from there into building a repeatable process, and then your lowest point to your turning point. So when you were able to then find success, and then looking back on life lessons. And so without further ado, I'll begin. I guess my first question is your environment. When you were growing up, can you tell us a little bit about what you were exposed to during your childhood and what your early life was like?
What I grew up, what I was exposed to is I grew up in Hollis, Queens. I was born in Brooklyn and I was raised in Queens, New York. Lower middle class, the general people in Hollis, Queens, we had a couple of options. We either worked at Aqueduct Racetrack, Belmont Racetrack, or we worked at JFK Airport or LaGuardia Airport. So we were either shoveling bags or shoveling horse shit. And we had Rikers Island, so we either were living there or working there, and so that's where I grew up. But family orientated, really great, great people in the community. But like most communities, in around 1985, 1986, they got devastated by a new cheap drug called crack, and a lot of people. Being an African American, I didn't see, and the internet didn't exist. Neither did social media. So the entrepreneurs that I saw were literally the drug dealers. They were the ones driving by in the fancy cars, and they didn't broadcast on the 6 o'clock news what was going on or various other entrepreneurs. And being Black, I didn't see anybody on TV that looked like me that ran a business. That anybody on TV that of color were either athletes or musicians, and I couldn't play sports, and I wasn't a great talented person. So I didn't have anything to aspire to. But for some reason, there must be something in the water of Hollis, Queens, because this new music that came out of the Bronx that I would call today is obviously hip hop. It's a global, music is either it fights for number 1 and 2 in regards to music. But in that time, what hip hop really was our form of Twitter and Instagram, right? Because we didn't see what was going on in the 6 o'clock news, right? And they weren't highlighting those things. But this new form of music came from the streets, and it was the ability of these kids that didn't need to be able to play an instrument or harmonize. And through this music, they were talking about political issues, police violence, what they loved, what they hated, and aspirations. So we didn't know what was going on in the streets of Compton and Hollis, Queens, or in the streets of Florida, or wherever the case was. So this music came with a way to walk, talk, and dress. And I was fascinated, and I don't know what's in the water of Hollis, Queens, because if you look at that small little square 4 miles, I mean, Run DMC, here's all the people that came from it. Run DMC, Salt and Pepper, LL Cool J, 50 Cent, Ja Rule, Onyx, Intro, Tribe Called Quest, some of the Fat Boys lived there. So many came from there. And when I was looking at the drug dealers driving by in fancy cars, and they were having to look over their back, doing wrong things, then I saw Run DMC driving by in fancy cars, and they were doing something they love, and they were globally recognized and making money. Well, it was a no-brainer at that time. The only problem was, how was I going to do it? And that's the community I grew up in. I'm an only child. My father left when I was 10 years old. Would never see or speak to my father ever again. My mother started working 3 jobs when I was 10 years old, with the same amount of food on the table. And the bottom line that drew me to entrepreneurship was, I didn't want to see my mother work that hard. Who wants to see their mother work that hard? And I got my first job handing out flyers for $2.25 per hour in the middle of the winter. Then I would shovel snow. I would rake leaves. I would dumpster dive for bike parts and put them together. By the time I got all the parts that fit, it would be 6 months, but I'd finally build a bike, and then probably somebody would sell it to somebody. So that's really my early age and, where I grew up, and the environment that I was around.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. So you were exposed to sort of a lot of things happening, a lot of different experiences. I guess my question would be, when you had those sort of pathways in front of you, right? How did you avoid those pitfalls? What were things that you did to kind of put yourself onto the path that eventually became your success?
I'm a very analytical person. I always analyze what would be the end outcome and what was I doing. I mean, can I say that I was focused? No. I was like any other kid. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't have the right advisors around me. I mean, in Hollis, Queens, you don't have the right advisors around you, but my mother was and still is a great advisor. And I always would seek out mentors. A lot of people seek me out to mentor them, but I'm a pretty busy guy at this time in my life, and I barely get to even see my own children. However, the mentors often are, they're in the community. They're operating corner stores. They're going to the city and working and then coming home. They're people at the church. They're hardworking people. Mentors are all around. The superheroes in the communities are often disguised because they're disguised in dirty overalls or in a capacity of working. They're parents in the community, right? That's who are the mentors. And I would seek mentorship from these amazing people. But listen, as I told you about all those great music artists, I was on the first world rap tour. It was the Fresh Fest. I was on the tour with LL Cool J, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy. Who else was on that tour? Eric B. and Rakim. And I was pushing speakers around on that tour. And then I went on the New Edition tour and the Bobby Brown tour. And I was just a roadie. And I was cool. I was really cool. So when that year came up for me to go to college, I was like, I'm too cool for that shit. So I didn't go to college. And I was like, all those other kids, those are nerds and band geeks, right? Well, what happened? Well, half of my friends who became drug dealers, actually, my buddy, I grew up with three guys, me, Hype Williams, and a guy named Irv Gotti, and another guy. And we all promised ourselves around 16 years old. I said, I'm going to be the king of fashion. And Irv was like, I'm going to be the king of music. And Hype was like, I'm going to be the king of movies. And my other friend said, I'm going to keep selling drugs. Well, Hype Williams became a very well-known director. Irv Gotti created Murder, Inc. with Ashanti and Ja Rule and everybody. And the drug dealer dude, Hype Williams, did the movie Belly About because he became a huge drug dealer and just got out of jail last year after spending 27 years in jail. All right. So these are all kids. And as kids, we had goals that we set in our lives to execute. But when I was, like I said, 17, 18, I was on tour. I was too cool for everybody because, again, they were band geeks and they were nerds. Hence, 22, 23, I was 22 and 23. They were all coming back from college. They were all coming back from jobs that they had. And I'm a waiter in Red Lobster with tartar sauce on my apron, and I'm getting them shrimp and I'm getting them salad. And I said to myself, maybe I'm the asshole. Because the nerds and the geeks of the past, who then they ended up becoming in history? I didn't know these nerds and geeks. You know who the nerds and the geeks became, the band geeks and the nerds? They became Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. They became Dr. Dre and Timbaland and everybody else like that. And I'm busy laughing at them. Meanwhile, now they're coming back, right? And just regular people too. They were getting jobs. There were people like here who knew how to say, I'm so talented that I'm going to eat what I kill. And I'm going to show you that I have the drive and the expertise, the ability to communicate, the way to research a target and go after a target. And I don't need you to take care of me on the front end because I'm going to make way more in the back end. And I'm going to challenge myself. They were smart enough to do that. And I wasn't smart enough to do that. And that's when around 23, 24, I said, I got to now double down on an education. I don't have money to go to college, so I better read as many goddamn books as I can, go work it wherever I can, and find as many mentors as I can.
Wow. So you were starting to do all of that while you're at Red Lobster, just picking sort of whenever you have free time, just going after it and learning and seeing what you could grasp.
I was learning in Red Lobster. All right, we talk about sales here. You know what I learned in Red Lobster? Most of the waiters never looked at the sales documents that came in, but they showed quarterly sales of the whole corporation, right? They have to, right? And I would look at those big sales things and I would realize where they made money. They made money. They never made money off of the food itself, the entrees. They always made money off of the appetizers, the liquor, and the desserts. So I realized also margins. I realized that these are something we call loss leaders. They're not making money off the steak. The steak's just bringing you in for you to sell everything else. Same in fashion. You can see all the leather and fur coats and all that crap. You know what we make more money off of? We make money off of t-shirts and jeans. You know where Louis Vuitton and Gucci make more money off of? They make money off of all those belts and all those wallets that they sell, not the other products. So I started to learn margins there. I also understood how to sell. If I knew that I get paid maybe 10 or 20%, off a tip, meaning the tip reflects that's the size of the check. Well, if I can sell everybody dessert, that's going to increase the size of the check by 10%. Now, it may sound small right now. And then as a waiter, you go and as we've all gone, people say at the end of the night, hey, you want dessert? You know what I used to do? While I'm taking your appetizer and your drink and your food order, listen, I'm not sure. We got a couple of desserts. A lot of people like them, and they may have a shortage in the back. I'm not sure. I want to make sure I get it. Why don't I write down your dessert for you now? And at the end of the day, at the end of the night, if you don't want it, don't worry about it. First of all, you can take it home if you want, but if you don't want it, no problem. It won't be on the check, and I won't include it. But I just want to make sure I prepare it for you. Well, nobody, especially if they're on a date, they don't want to order dessert. Right? They don't want to act like that. But by the way, nobody ever took that goddamn dessert off the check. Ever.
Love it.
So that increased 10% of sales, right? There wasn't no shortage. You know how many cheesecakes we have in the back? By the way, I hate to break it to you. When you go to the store and you see that one or two little shirts on the hanger, they have 1,900 left in the back.
Absolutely. That's awesome. No, incredible story. So you had a passion for hip hop. It sounds like you were kind of sort of exploring those motions at an early age. Red Lobster was, helping you to sort of support yourself. How did you go from that standpoint of realizing, you know what, Red Lobster isn't for me? I need to really just go after what I'm passionate about. And really sort of move full speed into FUBU.
A lot of sacrifice. Somebody had to tell me, if somebody wrote down everything I would have to do to get to this point in my life where I'm at, I would say, no, thank you. And so what did I do? I just learned to sacrifice everything else. I said, this is going to be my only run. Well, first of all, I was loving what I did. I was able to dress people, and I was able, so the story is that for 2 years, I only had 10 shirts, literally 10. And because I kind of knew, I didn't know the rappers that well, but I knew their friends, right? Because when they go on tour, their cousins are going, whatever the case is. So I realized that I knew all the videos were being shot. And so I would go to all the video sets, and in those 2 years, I went to 30 video sets. I got kicked off of an average of 10. Another 10, nobody would wear my stuff, but only out of 10 of those, whether a dancer wore it or whether somebody wore the same 10 t-shirts, I would give it to a rapper and they would shoot the video and I'll take it back. Give it to another rapper, take it back. But in those 10 videos, after about 2 years of placing them, they were seen heavily because at that time we didn't have social media. It was only here's where you're going to see the Mariah Carey video, Old Dirty Bastard. And I started to get traction. So what did it cost me? It cost me 10 t-shirts. Now, right after that, right in the middle of that, I said to myself, and this is definitely good for people here. I said to myself, what is my inventory? What do I have? Well, I don't have any money. All right. So what do? I have a phone available to me. So I promised myself for 6 months, I'm going to make 50 calls a day. 50 calls a day, 10 to manufacturers, 10 to clothing stores, 10 to record labels to see where more videos were going. I said, if I get out of those 50 calls, now I'm still working Red Lobster. If I get past those 50 calls and I start to get traction, I'm going to start to make 75 calls a day, or I'm going to stop and say, this is not for me. I don't like it. Whatever the case is. 6 months in. So first of all, the first 2 months, nobody answered my call or they hung up on me. About 4 months in, they were like, you ain't going to stop calling, are you? I was like, nope. So they started at that point, they started either saying, I don't have anything for you, but go over here. Or, hey, I was at dinner the other night and, somebody said they saw one of your shirts. Was that your shirt in the video? I said, yeah. They were like, you know what? Maybe I can't do anything for you now, but let's talk in a month. All right. And I started to get traction in that sense. So now my 100% of time at Red Lobster went to 80% of the time at Red Lobster and 20% on Fubu. Then it went to 40%, blah, blah, blah. Right. But I also didn't sleep. I also realized I didn't have a life. I wasn't dating. I wasn't watching TV. I wasn't doing anything. I was full out on this because I knew that, and I always say to young adults, I would say, and nothing against if you have children or married, you have your commitments, as long as you have great partners. But I always I even say to my girls, the first 20 years, you're going to be somebody's child. And that's who you are. You're my little girls, right? And, probably after 30, you're going to be somebody's husband, wife, employee, employer, grandfather, grandmother. For 10 years, just do you. From 20 to 30, do you as much as you make those mistakes. Get embarrassed, be vulnerable. And that's what I had decided to do. So I didn't have anybody around me. I was full out on this little name called Fubu.
That's awesome. I think that speaks to a lot of your motivation and how that was aligned with your mission. I loved how you said you increased the volume of your activity when you found traction. It just speaks to how motivated you were, right? And I think everyone has that same motivation when it's aligned with something they're passionate about. But what were some things that you did? The outreach is a big part of it. It sounds like you were just getting in front of people, as many as you can. But were there other things that you also did to kind of get your name out there and build your personal brand?
It was always making the customer or the person I felt that I talked to, always making them feel like a superstar. Mm. Yeah, that's it. Not telling anybody my problems, right? And when I was selling, and being a little vulnerable, we see too many people today that are cool and they've made it and, they don't need anybody and all that. They're full of shit. They're probably the most insecure person you've ever met. But a true entrepreneurial thinking person walks into the room and says, I don't know much, but here's what I know. And this other stuff I really don't know. And I would love to find other people to work with who can advise me and or not work with. Just let me know. And you know what? The people that really know this stuff and have a level of success, because somebody probably have taught them, they're probably going to go, hey, you know what you should do? Here's how I can help you. But the fear of walking into a room and the 20% of people who are going to laugh at you because you are vulnerable, you don't want those people in your life anyway. They're toxic anyway. They're somehow feeling that blowing out your candle is going to make theirs shine brighter, and that's not the reality. So, being vulnerable, and that's what happens. That's how you get people to say, I want to help. If you're driving down the highway and you see somebody sitting on top of the car with a gas can, well, I don't know, AAA is going to come pick them up. They called somebody, they're on their way. So you'd be like, they're good. You drive down the highway, you see somebody out there pushing a car by themselves. What do you naturally do? If you have a heart, you pull over. Yo, you need some help? You want me to help you push? Let me help you push. What's up? I'll call somebody. I'll take you to the gas station. And that's what happens. A lot of people, I meet in life, they walk to me and say, Daymond John, mentor me, help me. I'd be like, why? You think I got pixie dust? I could just help you? If I was that goddamn good, well, then Fubu would be called Nike. I need help. I don't know everything in the world. And I'm not going to just come to your house and pick you up off the couch. Oh my God, let me help you. Right. But when I see somebody who says, you know what, Daymond, I've been doing all this and that, and I failed it, but I studied some of your books or saw you on Shark Tank and I tried this and I failed. You know what? I know you love to help animals and I know you're, I know you're on the board of the Petco Foundation. I know I can't pay you, but I'm going to donate 1 hour to ASPCA on your behalf every week. Can you get on the phone with me for a half an hour at the end of the month? The line of people saying that is probably 10 people. The line of, hey, help me out. That is from here all the way to Brooklyn. So it's always about your unique positioning on how you're going to communicate with somebody, know what's in the best interest from that person, make the buy-in very, very simple, and manage their expectations.
I think that's really crucial. Yeah, great points as well. Shifting the conversation a little bit to kind of you being able to sort of catch wind and move into some of the success that you had. Are you okay sharing with us your sort of the lowest point in your process of building out FUBU and where you were, and then how you turned that around to FUBU essentially hockeying stick up to where it was at?
There were so many low points in FUBU, but the high points really overshadow the low points. The low points in FUBU were I got turned down by 27 banks when I went out to go and get funding. Well, I didn't have financial intelligence, so I didn't really know how and what I was saying to make the bank feel comfortable about loaning me the money. When I did, have my mother, take money out of our home, which was $100,000. Now first of all, I have no idea how my mother got $100,000 out of that house. The house was worth 75. Till today, I haven't asked her what she did for the rest of the money. Shout out to moms. Now, but the story is that I got that, but the story really is that 3 months later, the $100,000 was $500 left because I turned the house into a factory. And I had 3 months later, I had $500 left. I was 3 months late on the mortgage. They were about to take my mother's only asset. I was about to be homeless, and I still didn't ship the $300,000 in orders I had. So I was about to lose the business, and I didn't have financial intelligence. So I wasn't buying lavish things, but I know business now, I was paying for raw goods, took 90 days to get the goods in to make. So now I got to pay for them in advance. I got to buy the machinery and pay for the utilities and pay for the mortgage and then pay for the staff that's sewing it. So now I got to push that money out. And Macy's and all these stores, they don't pay you until 30, 60, 90 days. So that was the lowest point of my life because I was like, I'm 10 years in on this thing called FUBU. I'm about to lose my mother's only asset, and I'm about to lose this business. So there's so many different areas. And the way I got out of that is my mother said, I got this great idea. I need $2,000. So I go back to Red Lobster. I work for a month. I come up with $2,000. She takes the money and she says, I'm going to take an ad in the newspaper for you. I said, take an ad in the newspaper? That's got to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Give me back my money. I forbid you to do it. And like most women, when you tell them you forbid them to do something, she did it. And here's how the ad went. $1 million in orders need financing. 33 people called that ad. Right? So she took a shot. Now, don't get me wrong. 30 of those people were named Pookie, Laquita, Quack for short, Sal the sausage. 45% interest, living the adequate collateral, pictures of loved ones in case I got lost. I think there was somebody on there who wanted a royalty off every good sold, $2 in perpetuity. His name was O'Leary. I mean, some scumbag named O'Leary, I think, called. But out of that, yeah, but not all joking aside, but out of the three were real, and one was the privately held conglomerate that makes it a $250 billion annually that makes everything from semiconductors to, they're probably listening to us right now, Samsung's textile division called. Because the big boys and girls are watching every single one of us.
That's incredible. Samsung reached out with that. That's amazing. And textiles, can you share with us what that is? Is that sort of a fabric-based division or?
Right. So I think that brings up a good point. When I was pitching, and people here who are pitching people, when I was pitching, I never pitched number 1, 2, 5, and 6 in the market. I didn't pitch to get backed and or manufacture and distribution. I didn't pitch Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren, Nike. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the case is. I pitched number 100 who wanted to be number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Mm-hmm. So that what you always find sooner or later, if you understand how to articulate the value that you're going to add to somebody, you just keep kissing enough frogs, you're going to get down the line to somebody who's going to go, yeah, I got these assets, you got these assets. How can we get together and make it better? Because you're always going to find, so if you have, obviously, the easiest thing to sell is the truth. And if you have a great product, because product is king, you will find somebody who will find value in that asset. You just got to have a strong rejection muscle and keep kissing a lot of frogs and doing your homework. When I walked in a room and I pitched somebody, it was easy for me to say, well, they didn't like me because I'm an African-American man, or I didn't have any money, or I got left back in school. It was easy for me to say that, right? But you know what I said to myself? Did I ask the right questions? Did I study the target well enough? Was I able to convey the message in a way that they saw value? I gotta hack myself. And maybe they didn't get it. Maybe it's not time. Maybe they had a fight with their significant other. So I kissed another frog. But before I kissed another frog, I asked myself the tough questions.
I think that's very key. I also think it's interesting. One of my questions was going to be, how important is it for you to believe in what you're doing? But I think I should change that question to, how important is it for you to have people that believe in what you're doing? Because what you experienced with your mother, she, her helping you out to get things going and get orders going, you just needed some more elbow grease from a financial standpoint to keep things going. How important would you say it is to have people in your corner when it's hard to see, what the horizon is going to look like?
It's very important, but it needs to be the right people. Because you have to always really drill down on anything and everything in life. Like, who are you talking to? Why are they giving you this advice? And yeah, sometimes you're going to get an F on your report card. Sometimes your idea is not that great. But you have to execute. So it's the right people. Your family can tell you, don't do that. The closest person in your family can say, don't do that. It's never been done before. You're going to embarrass yourself, or you're going to embarrass us. And that person may not be a hater. That person may have been somebody who grew up in a generation where you can get a corporate job and, one parent can stay home. The government is going to take care of you. Inflation it's a new time. They may not just have the vision, right? They may have grown up saying, hey, doctors and lawyers, right? Or I'll give you an example. The kids graduating today. 50% of the kids graduating today will retire with a job title that doesn't even exist today. Think about 20 years ago, somebody said, you're going to be a drone operator. You're going to be a pay-per-click expert. You're going to be a social media conversion person. You'd be like, what are you talking about? So, a lot of people are going to give you advice because they don't necessarily have the vision, because they love you. Now, other people are going to give you advice because a lot of times they're reflecting their weaknesses on you. I'm too lazy to do this. I hope this person doesn't do this shit, or no way is that going to work. So I got a lot of advice from a lot of people. I got advice from a lot of great people in my community, or, next door to me, who was like, yo, you can't do that because this, and this, and that. And I used to be like, didn't I see you smoking crack last week? So it all depends on, who's giving you the information and how you're getting it.
Absolutely. I think that's key. Yeah, definitely. The right people aligned makes a huge, huge difference in success. So that's amazing. You mentioned, just so we are clear on how high that curve was, when you were needing help. I heard you say you had $300,000 in orders. How much revenue did you gain after getting the success or help, from Samsung?
We would do an average of $400 million a year. So my deal with Samsung was this: very much an eat what you kill situation. They're like, we'll manufacture and distribute your clothes, but you're going to have to sell $5 million worth of clothes in 3 years. Now, the real story is that I opened FUBU in 89. I closed it down 3 times from 89 to 92 because I ran out of money. I ran out of $500, $1,000. I started placing those videos 92 to 94. I started getting public recognition. I started just selling a little bit of clothes. And then I went to a trade show, the Magic Trade Show. It's not pulling rabbits out of hats. It's Men's Apparel Guild in California. It's held in Nevada. Don't ask me why. But I went there and I didn't have enough money to get into the trade show. I didn't have enough money to walk into the trade show. So my friends and I, we set up a small hotel room about 5 miles from the trade show, put all our clothes in the corner of the room, stuff in the beds and the carpet in the bathtub. And we didn't have money to walk in the trade show, so we would sneak into the trade show. At that time, there were no African Americans in the trade show. So it's pretty easy for the security to spot the 6 guys running around with afros talking about, Psh, I got some FUBU back in my hotel room, Mom. Hey, yo, baby girl, come to my hotel room for some FUBU. But I wrote $300,000 worth of orders out of that in that little small hotel room, because what I did was, it was a vacuum. People were seeing this stuff on TV for 2-3 years. The kids were coming to the store. Remember, the internet wasn't out. They didn't know where to get it. And the stores finally came in and was like, yo, I can't tell you how many kids have been asking for this. And that's what happened. That's how I got the $300,000 worth of orders. It wasn't an easy thing. I mean, it took me about 7 years to get to that level, to just get the orders. But as somebody who didn't have a lot of access to information, I was like, all right, I got the orders. What do I do now?
Yeah. Wow. Incredible. Right on. Well, looking back, I mean, what a journey that was. Ups and downs, incredible success. Would you change anything about the process that you had getting to where you are?
Everything makes us who we are. But if I had to give you any kind of answer, and the only thing I would change is I would really, really understand how money works. It's something your eyes gloss over. You don't want to talk about it. It seems complicated. You think you need a lot of it, or if you have a lot of it, you think that's helpful. And we are not taught about how money works in this country in school. And there's a reason why we're not taught it. You see, I don't know, every one of us probably went to shop class or one of those things. Now, I don't know how many of you want to build a birdhouse. That's fine. But none of us understood how money works. What is credit? Why is credit needed? What is a credit score? What are taxes? How do you do this? How do you save? The reason we're not taught that, and I think that we're going to start being taught that in school, is because at 16 years old, you can start applying for $500,000 worth of student debt that the banks will get paid off until you're 50. Okay, maybe they're relieving some of that stuff now. And if you think about the stat I just told you, at 16, 17 years old in your life, where you don't know what you want to do in life, you can acquire $500,000 worth of student debt for a career that you're not even sure is going to even exist when you retire. So understanding how finance works is the most critical thing. Like everybody's talking about Bitcoin and all that stuff right now and NFTs. That's nice. But if you just had common sense and realized that with gas going out of this world, out of the roof, and you can't even get a Tesla, the Teslas are on back order and they're electric, and the Tesla stock is down 60%. Well, you can take $1,000 and put it in the bank. At the end of the year, you're going to get probably $1,040. If Tesla just goes back to where it's at today, you will make $2,000. I mean, if somebody told me that a brand new Mercedes was 50% off, well, shit, but give me 2, right? But if you don't have financial intelligence, what are you going to do? You're not even going to take advantage of those things. And by the way, if you keep that same $1,000 in Tesla, it'll probably be worth $15,000. I bought Shopify at $30. It went as high as $1,700 in 5 years. Mm-hmm. You know anything else that returns like that? So if you don't have financial intelligence, you won't understand these concepts. You don't need money to make money. The stat is that 65% of athletes and lotto winners are bankrupt 3 years after leaving the league or winning the lotto because they don't have financial intelligence. And I only know that because I blew my first $20 million.
Well, that's great. Yeah, great feedback there. Really appreciate the time that you're spending with us today. And thank you for sharing that part. I'm sure everyone here is also appreciative of your time and what you're able to share with your life story and how it can motivate us to also be successful.
Well, thank you.
At this time, what I'd like to do is spend just a few minutes with questions that we'll try to moderate here for anyone. If Daymond, if you still have a few more minutes left
and listen, yeah, sure, man. I got 20 minutes, I think, for you guys. 20 minutes.
Oh, great. Okay, excellent.
All right, let me answer the first question without you even asking. Yes, Kevin O'Leary is an asshole. All right, let's move forward on any other questions.
Very good. There's a question here in the chat box. In fact, guys, why don't we just put our questions in the chat box if you have them, and then anyone in here, if you guys have questions, please tell Allison, and then she'll share them with me. I have a question here from Deborah, who says, what is your favorite quote?
Money is a great slave, but a horrible master.
Oh, that's very good. Very good. Why is that your favorite quote? Just a follow-up question.
Good question. Everybody that I've seen do things only for the form of money, either spent it when they got it or ended up in the wrong place because of it. And I didn't learn to trust my gut till in my mid-30s. And a lot of times it was like, well, Daymond, it looks good on paper. Oh, you're the man, or well, you don't got to do a lot. And I'm like, oh, you're going to make a lot of money. And out of 10 times that happened, probably 8 times I regretted it. I didn't trust my gut. Only you can trust your gut. And the 2 times that I did win, I was like, thank God I got out of that, right? Thank God it's over. Even when I joke about Kevin O'Leary, he's one of my closest friends, very, very kind man. But even when you look at him doing things for money, it's not money. He's doing things because he likes finance. He likes the unfolding of it. So whether you like fashion or working out, he loves the movement and the way to structure deals. He doesn't do it pure. He calls himself a disciplined investor, but the money is the outcome of structuring complex things in ways that everybody's beneficial. Right. So it's usually that's talking about the money. I mean, I didn't make any money. I didn't think FUBU was never done at that level ever prior from people of color. I never thought I would get there. I didn't see myself as a global brand. Now, honestly, my partners and I, we thought that maybe we would make it a way to have a boutique that all 4 of us could work at and feed our families.
Absolutely. Wow. No, very good. Here's a question from Julia. What was one of your favorite deals you ever made on Shark Tank?
Oh, that was so easy. So it's called Bombas Socks.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why is because so Ring Doorbell is the #1 product to ever go on to Shark Tank. But he did not get an investment. Kevin offered him a deal, and later on, Jamie, it sold to Amazon for $1.3 billion. Jamie, the founder, said that he was asking too much when he went on to the show, and that it was not a good offer he gave us. So he went back out to the market. He reduced the price a little bit. I think that he owes us 5% for tenderizing him so gently. But the #1 product in Shark Tank history that got an investment is my company, Bombas Socks.
Oh.
Came on doing $800,000. They're going to do $500 million this year.
Wow.
But why is it, first of all, my favorite? Because first of all, it taught me, my generation was, first of all, again, and I don't want to keep saying this, the internet wasn't out, but it wasn't out. And if I spent $10 million giving to those in need when FUBU was super hot, I would have to advertise to tell you I was giving to somebody in need, and I just felt dirty advertising off the hardships of others. It just didn't make, it's those people on Instagram going, look, I'm giving a poor person a sandwich. And now that person has to degrade themselves and take a sandwich and take a picture. So we had gotten a big backlash. FUBU doesn't believe in the community. And I felt dirty when I had to start saying, here's all the computers we put in schools. Here's all the basketball courts we refurbished. Here's all the, battered women's shelters and all the stuff we've done. However, today's consumer, they want to know what you've done because they don't need it on the front page, but they're going to look through and see what is your mission? Who are you? I can buy socks from anybody. Why am I buying your socks? And you don't have to advertise it. User-generated content is people going, thank you for what you did. And they're putting themselves on camera. Thank you as the homeless shelter. Thank you for providing these stuff for us. And we appreciate you. And the consumer wants to know, what the hell did you do for somebody else? So most of the people probably on here, you're a lot in the younger generation, I can sit at the table with my daughter at night and go, yeah, I gave her the office at the end of the year. She said, oh, really, Daddy? Well, I gave 20 times this year. I said, honey, it's the middle of the year and you only work at the pizza parlor. How do you give 20 times this year? Because every time I bought this, I helped clean up the ocean. Every time I bought this, I stopped human trafficking. And every time I bought this, a person in need got another pair of socks. And that's why they're my favorite company, because they made me understand that, and don't lie about it. They made me understand if you're doing right, people want to know what the hell you've done for other people. Because right now, somebody in this room has Bomba socks on and I wouldn't know. There's no logo. It's hidden by your feet, but people are talking about it at dinner tables, on Zoom, at the water cooler on Monday morning about what they're doing. And that's why Bomba socks are so popular, because people want to be part of a mission, of a story.
Absolutely. Very nice. Very nice. That's very good. A similar question. Wendy has a question. Of all the pitches you've heard, what makes the good ones stand out? And she says she's a big time fan. She quotes you often to her students.
The best pitches are an infomercial feeling pitch, like an infomercial type pitch, right? It tells you that a problem exists and you resonate with that problem because you personally had that problem in some way or another. Then it shows you that you've been frustrated with it. And then it shows you that why this person or this product can solve it. And it also says, well, I understand this is a new concept to you or a new product, whatever the case is. I'm going to make it easy for you to get in on it. I'll give you an example. We all see infomercials. Hey, has this ever happened to you? Right? They're resonating with the issue. And then you said to yourself, there's gotta be a better way. Well, I'm Daymond John, and I did this and this and this over my life, and now I came up with a better way. All right, so now you're like, okay, got a better way. But you know what? I don't believe this person. And just like the cheesecakes I was talking about, if you call by tonight, midnight, I'm not going to give you one better way. I'm going to give you two better ways. By the way, that 1-800 number, midnight, it doesn't just go away at midnight. It's there forever. But, and if you don't like those better ways, you can send them back. So what happens? You resonate with the problem. You're like, well, it doesn't cost much to try it. And if I don't like it, I send it back. Nobody ever sends that stuff back. Everybody wants a six-pack, but nobody sends those weights back. Now, that's just the reality of it. So that is the perfect pitch, because, you know, we're buying into the person. I don't need to make money, you know, I don't need to deal with you or anybody here to make money. You know, if I invest in you or employ you, I potentially have to sit next to you or across from you 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for the next 5 years of my life. If I send my money over to the market, they don't wake up Steve Jobs from the dead and ask me how to fix computers. Elon Musk doesn't call me in between the time he's smoking a joint and ask me how to, you know, help, you know, send somebody to the moon. I just either get my check or not. So the reality is we invest in people Because when you tell me that story, I got to have trust in you to feel like you found a better way.
Great answer. Yeah, very good. Who has been the biggest inspiration in your life, and how have they helped you achieve success?
That is, well, first, clearly my mother. Moms are our first angel investors, end of the day. I mean, they make a big investment in us. It's called life, So yes, but she's also taught me so much throughout life. But I learn from anybody and everybody. I learn from my daughters, I remember a couple of years ago, I go to my daughter's room, she got the computer. I'm watching TV downstairs. I'm not watching on the computer. She's watching she's on the computer. She's watching TV. She's talking to her boyfriend, doing homework, and shopping, and lying to me all at the same time. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And then she's showing me Snapchat and all these other things. So I got into, our parents, I hate when our parents used to say, or I don't do this. I don't go, what are you doing? I go, what are you doing? And I got into Snapchat and various things early because we're at a great time where there's a lot of symbiotic relationships. Mm-hmm. You have the generation we're talking to here right now, and then you have the older generation. A lot of the older generation, they have financing, they have distribution, they have manufacturing, they have the fundamentals of business, but they don't know how to do what this generation knows how to do. This generation knows how to communicate around the world in a split second. They say a lot of times this generation is spoiled or whatever the case is. This generation also overthrows governments without picking up a gun. They use Twitter. They ban millions of people together to fight against injustices. They know they got to clean up the planet that my generation destroyed. So there's a really great opportune time right here when this generation, whenever I see the younger generation get with the older, they create a lot of different synergies and a lot of money. So this is an opportune time. And your question was who I learned from, but you got to learn from anybody and everybody. You got to have symbiotic relationships.
Absolutely. I think that's a great response there. It's all of those experiences end up being things you learn from. At what point in your life did you realize you reached your version of success?
Various different points, because I'm a big advocate of goal setting, and there were points where I felt like I've been successful, but then I knew there was always level for improvement. There's always level for improvement. So I may have been the FUBU guy. Now I had money. No, so now FUBU's big, right? I got money. Below $20 million. Wait a minute. I can have a big company that I want, but if I don't know how to use this money, I'm done. All right. Now all of a sudden, FUBU was doing well, but I know a hot fashion brand lasts 5 to 7 years. We're not talking about the unicorns like Nike and Louis Vuitton. I start picking up other brands: Heatherette, Drunken Monkey, Gucci, Kappa, and all this other stuff. I'm failing at all these brands. So wait a minute, I'm not successful. I'm going to be looked at as a one-trick pony. Wait a minute, Daymond John just stepped in shit one time. Wait a minute, what am I going to do? But all of a sudden, this starts taking off. Right? I put out my first and my second book. They failed. Oh shit, I'm not successful. Third book becomes a New York Times bestseller, right? Go on a show called Shark Tank, and the first three seasons were going to be canceled. Wait a minute, now I start winning Emmys. Walk these 3 girls around town to all my friends and was like, listen, these girls are named the Kardashians. I co-manage these girls. They're going to be big. I think they're going to be big. $75,000 for you to put all your clothes on all the girls and everybody you want in the show per year. $75,000. Everybody laughs me out the room. So if you look at Kardashians, the first 3 years, you know what they're wearing? They're wearing my brand, Gucci. Why? Because I said, Kim, I don't want to let you down. I just don't know what they don't see in you guys. So I'm going to give you the $75,000. I got a call 2 years ago. Somebody said, hey, D, you remember those girls? I got $75,000 for them to wear my stuff. I was like, I can't even get them on the phone no more for $75,000, you idiot. You know, I did the same thing with a young man named Pitbull. You know, I got this guy. He's really amazing. Nobody wanted to work with him. So it's ups and downs and peaks and valleys in all business. You know, there's no just you have arrived. You'll never have a you have arrived moment. If anybody thinks that they're going to have a you have arrived moment, it's not. It's going to be you've gotten to this point, and now how can you do better? You know, because I'll give you an example. You know, in the pandemic, I had this woman, she was stalking me. She stalked me. She got my phone number. She called my wife. She called my wife's parents. I don't even know how she got that number. My wife looks at me and goes, Daymond, the hell's wrong with you? Now, first of all, there was one stalker that year. I like to keep my stalkers at around 7. Then I know I'm still popular. I only had 1 that year, so that was already a challenge. But she said, you better call your friends because you know what? You're a public person, aka whatever, celebrity. There's got to be technology and various other things to block all our information. I said, all right, no problem. I don't want to name drop to just name drop. I'm going to tell you the people I called. I called Catherine Zeta-Jones. I called Mark Cuban, and I called Pitbull. I called up Catherine. I said, Catherine, you got this? She said, yeah, me and Michael get calls all the time from people like, Daymond, you can't stop. These are public records, you know, just whatever. I said, okay. I called Mark Cuban. He said, D, trust me, that's nothing. And I called Pitbull, and he was like, Papo, that girl on the other line right now, right? And so I had to tell my wife, babe, there's no, now that you've become a celebrity, here's what you get. Bodyguards, you stay skinny the rest of your life. Nobody's going to hate you. There's nothing like you've arrived. There's no, if you're an athlete or you're really skinny or you're worked out at 20, that you can eat the shit you want and not, and your body will stay the same forever. There's no you graduated Harvard and that guarantees you a job. You know how many people graduated Harvard that are scooping ice cream right now? By the way, I hate to break it to you. When you get married, you know that whole happily ever after. There's no guarantee in that one. Trust me on this. You got to work at that shit. And no matter what your career is, no matter what happened, Daymond John from FUBU is doing great, but nobody gives a shit about Daymond John from FUBU, about when I come to clothing. I'm not doing clothing the way I used to do it. It's about what did I do today with what have I learned yesterday? And I'm applying to be more successful tomorrow. So the job never stops. As long as you know that, you're going to have fun doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's key. It's a continuous process that, evolves, changes over time. Yeah.
Do you know any music artist that has hits their entire life? When Michael Jackson and Prince died, they didn't have any hits at the time.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Yes. Well, good. Well, we're just hitting the hour mark. Really appreciate your time again, Daymond. It was incredible to meet you and be a part of this hour with you, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you everybody for being in attendance. I would shout you all out. I see a whole bunch of people in that conference room, the white table. I see Emily's on her phone, and Limigan, Gail, and I just see a bunch of people. Thank you for everybody for being here. Listen, I wish you all the best. Keep investing in yourselves. More importantly, make sure your health, you're okay. And the only thing I can say in closing is, I found out about 4 years ago that I had cancer that was in my body because I wasn't getting in many executive physicals, and I got it done. I'm cancer free, but I got to tell you something. It was my wife that convinced me to go get that colonoscopy. And I got to tell you, if you got a hard-headed person in your family, we can talk about all this business shit all day, but if they don't have their health, so make sure all of you get that hard-headed sister, father, brother, mother, grandfather, yourselves to go get those colonoscopy, endoscopy, pap smears, mammograms, because, there's an old saying, somebody with their health has 1,000 dreams, somebody without only has one. So all this shit we're talking about is good until you are faced with something that's devastating and you can prevent it, because there's 65% chance if you catch something on time, you can beat it. So God bless you all, and I do appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Oh.